If you know me at all, you'll know that I actually hate doing these things live or even what this is not great. Anyway, there's a reason that I wanted to do this, and that's because I wanted to share with you the latest podcast that's coming out very soon on Sarah Ferris Media, which is called Watching Two Detectives. Now, it's really something quite special. It started off being something completely different, and it morphed into something I couldn't imagine. So I'm really excited to share with you a little bit about how this project came about. So the idea behind Watching Two Detectives originally was to crack open the case files of retired homicide detectives Scott Rogan and Peter Hogan. They're both from New South Wales in Australia. Hogs and Rogues. Could they be more Australian? I know. But when we put together the idea of looking at the cases that they've done and perhaps looking at cases that we can learn from still now, even though some of these cases are 20 years old. The first case that they wanted to do, episode 1 of just one complete episode, that was it, was on a case of a man called Michael Furlong, who had been murdered 20 years or so ago in a unbelievably tragic situation, and lots of sliding doors moments and twists of fate that ended up with Michael crossing paths with a complete stranger who murdered him in a very brutal way. That was going to be just one episode, but when the detectives reached out to the family of Michael Furlong, Michael had had a young family when he was murdered, and Luke, who was now in his 30s, answered the phone to the detectives and said, "Oh my God, I've been waiting 20 years to speak to the detectives that solved my dad's case." And so from that moment on, the whole podcast took on a completely different direction. We now have season 1 of Watching Two Detectives, 5 episodes, all on the murder of Michael Furlong. And we have some incredibly special guests and some moments that will just leave you, I'm sure, in tears. We hope that sharing this story along the way honours Michael's memory and his family, and also bring some healing to the Furlong family as well. And we feel very privileged to have been able to share this story. We do hope you'll subscribe and help us in honouring the story of Michael Furlong. So you can subscribe now to Watching Two Detectives on Apple and Spotify and all the usual platforms. And of course, the links will be in the bio. And if you can't wait for the first episode to drop on the 10th of July, then you can go to Apple and hit the subscribe button on Watching Two Detectives, or you can head to patreon.com/WTD podcast.